Hello.
Hey there.
What's happening?
No, not much. Just chilling. Just staying up a little later than I probably should. How it goes?
So you got to kind of hear a little bit of me and Cindy's conversation, and it looks like she's still in here too. So that's fine too. Cindy, if you want to chime in at any time as well, it's good to have a few people on. Um, but no, I was reading your what you were talking about in your comments. I do like having just a few people on sometimes, or a couple people, and just hashing shit out. Like what have you been hearing about today? What's something that's been on your mind? I know you were talking a lot about homelessness this afternoon, and you had a guy that was really pushing back on some of that stuff.
Yeah, what was incredibly frustrating with that was it's just so dense. I spend a lot of time crafting like these arguments, given factual information, studies, and and it's just you just meet people and it's just like pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's a choice, and they just don't want to hear any of what you have to say.
You're like, it's
And
not
it's
a choice. Like, dude, like, most people don't want to be homeless. Like, I was sitting here like doing face palms the whole time while I was watching you talk to these guys. I'm like, this is horrible. Like,
yeah,
how? Like,
it it's really frustrating. That being said, I guess if I have to look at it from the flip side of it, I'm grateful that people like that are in my community because Gilad, who the person I was talking to, um, has been asking me every single stream about systemic racism, right? And he's pushed back on like a few ideas and things like that, but it doesn't seem to be something that he is just outright rejecting, and he's recognizing that I do know what I'm talking about. So I think of him a little bit like a case study,
right.
essentially, how to bring someone who is, and I said it to him too, like so indoctrinated into like the capitalist working, like bring each other down kind of mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, how I can bring someone like that over to the left. Um, and I think it's possible, and it's just a process. I really do. I think it's a process.
Well, and that's kind of what I found as well. I think that there's like, I think we had kind of touched on this a few times when you were in the chat. Like sometimes you have to take an incrementalist approach to get what it is that you want. I'm definitely a radical, and shit, if we could do it all tomorrow, amen, let's do it. But I realize that we have a whole section of the country that is pushing back against everything that we want. And so we have to take chunks at a time, and some of that means having a soft pedal a little bit, and if they're willing to stay in the chats and willing to sit there and have the debates with you in the chats, that means that you haven't lost them. They're still there. So I do the same thing. I try to find the common ground and then work from there and kind of inch them over a little bit. And I've had some moderate success. I was talking about that about the anti-vaxxer, anti-masker friend I have. They're now wearing masks when they go out. So
Oh
like,
wow! Oh, that's huge.
yeah. So I mean, it's one person, but I've had others in my chat too that are kind of the same, like you're talking about. They're righties or maybe even more centrists, but they really just don't get like that conversation just rang really true with me. The homelessness one, because I've had that conversation with people where they said the same damn thing, and I'm like, you're missing the point. You are missing the point entirely. Like you like there's systems in place that create these kind of wealth gaps and put people into poverty. Like it's not like people are running to get into poverty. It's that once you get there, it's almost impossible to find your way out a lot of times.
Yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, like the argument was simple, and I've I've had it out, with multiple people. It is just the constant same argument back and forth, right? It's because you look at like what he was saying, and this is true for a lot of like righties I talk to. It doesn't really matter how convincing you are; they just think intuitively. I think that I can work hard and make it in this country, make it in whatever country they're in, and therefore anyone that doesn't make it just isn't working hard, right? And like some of them have survivor's bias as well. They made it out of tough situations, so why can't anybody else?
Yep.
Stuff like that. And it's as frustrating as it is. I don't want to push that kind of person away. I've had like other like more like center right people that I've spoken to, regulars that come on like my show or come on like just into chat, and I have very, very healthy conversations with them as well. I think I was talking to a friend of mine just a bit earlier about the tolerance for people like in disagreements, and he's a bit more hard line on me, where he really believes that the majority of like the Twitch like chud community is mostly comprised of people who are disingenuous, just want to like own the libs or whatever, and they're just here to troll essentially. And while, I mean, don't get me wrong, those people surely exist and do make up a chunk of the Twitch like online community. I don't think that that's all of them, and even if it is the majority, if I can bring over even like just one, right, like that's a victory to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because it's not just your one you're bringing over. Chances are they have people that they are able to influence themselves, who they may actually end up bringing over as well. So it's a chain reaction, you know. So everyone that I always figure it like with everyone that I bring over, I could be possibly bringing over another one or two because of how they can influence people. Because chances are they're deeper in some of those circles than I am, which means they have more of an opportunity to pull people out. Just by nature of who I associate with, I tend to associate with people more to the left. So when I do come across a righty, you know, typically in one of my streams or, you know, there's like old school friends that I have had from like high school or, you know, junior high school or something like that, where they, you know, still kind of they ascribe to like a right-leaning perspective. And, you know, there's the years of friendship, but we don't necessarily always agree on things. I've had a couple of them where I've swayed them, you know. But I think that comes with having that influence of that friendship for years and years and years, you know. And oftentimes I think that there are other people who maybe are deeper in those circles that once they're able to get moved to the left, it becomes much easier for them to move others around them to their left, because a lot of the times the ones that at least I've been able to move over have been the ones that their family and friends actually tend to like kind of look up to them a little bit. Maybe they're a little bit more questioning of things, and that's why they're willing to ask the questions, which is why they were open enough to end up coming over to the left, you know. So I've seen it, but again, there's got to be a lot of empathy with that too. And I think that's one of the things that sometimes on the left we can be relatively bad at. We can come across really condescending sometimes. So I think taking the time out and making sure that the approach is empathetic, you know, I'm always going to have my little bolster of banter from time to time. I mean, everybody gets pissed off about something, but I think if we really try to understand their perspective, it's easier to change them and bring them over, you know, and giving them the space to learn. So I think it's great that you're doing that in your chat as well.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I definitely come off as condescending sometimes. I mean, like at the end of the day, as much as like I'm perfectly willing to bring people over, this is 100% an entertainment platform. And I consider it a job. You know, I stream 4 or 5 days a week if I can, right? So making like that decision certainly is like influenced how I operate on Twitch. But that being said, I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, I would love to bring people over as much as I can. So I try to tone that down as much as possible. But every now and then I'll slip in some little chirpy commentary, which is pretty funny.
Oh well, yeah, you got to. If they're getting real spicy with you, you got to pull that shit back. You know, we don't have to take the abuse either. You know.
Oh yeah. No, I just mean like just people who are just so dense. Like, don't get me wrong, I get just as triggered as anybody else, and so I will happily go off on somebody. kind of the nature of the beast there. Oh, Mike is asking if I can turn on the video. Is that something you want me to do? Or
Yeah, you can turn it on. I have a display view, so we can see your smiling face if you want.
Sure. Hang on.
I'm gonna change my video too.
Right.
Because I'm using the wrong camera.
I'm playing Civ 5 right now. I hope that's okay.
Oh yeah, play whatever you want, man. We're good with it.
And turn this guy on. There you go.
Okay. See if I can get my camera to work. No.
Talk about someone in my career, no money, working hard.
Hang on. What the heck? There we go. All right. There it is.
Nice.
So, all right. There it is. Sorry about that. I knew we get it together sooner or later. Still working out some of these templates with these with Streamlabs, so.
Yeah. So let me ask you, how long what brought you over to Twitch?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. So number one, Jason Society is a band. Was a band, defunct. That's where the name comes from. But this all started, me coming onto Twitch directly, all started because band kind of broke up. Things were not really working out that way. And I was permanently on hiatus. I mean, this happened like many years ago. And my mod, Mike, is big on Twitch. He actually, he turned me on to TYT. He turned me on to, I was already to the left, but I didn't really watch left media. I was into Bernie. Like I got into Bernie because of Bill Maher. He was on Bill Maher a few times, like early on. I saw him. I was like, this is the dude. This is the dude, you know? So, he started turning me on to like this, you know, the YouTube media, and then ultimately like some of the Twitch media and stuff. And I liked watching it, and he's like, you have all these hot takes, because I was on Facebook all the time battling like these real righties, you know, righty trolls, you know, in comments and shit. And he's like, bro, you have good takes. Like, why don't you just do this? Why don't you get online, put yourself on video, and just say, screw it, just do it. And I was really hesitant. I've always had a thing about, even when I was making music, I really did not like my picture taken. So I had a problem with that anyways. And he's like, you got to do it. You got to do it, man. Like, he chided me for 2 years straight. And finally, I had moved into a new place. Things were kind of settling a little bit. Like, you know, I was kind of getting into a space where I was like, okay, like, I can overcome my imposter syndrome a little bit, and, you know, just say, go for it, you know? And so it seriously happened over the course of like a weekend, where he's like, okay, get this camera and get this ring light, and, you know, let's go, you know? And so I was like, okay. And, he pretty much put a lot of this shit together for me, because he's just like, I believe in you that much. I think you need to do this. And, now I'm here, and things are moving a lot faster than I thought they would, I guess. So it's been nice. It's been a good experience. But, you know, essentially, like, you know, I'm just a loudmouth that gets really pissed off at people that can't seem to understand that we should care about each other. And, yeah, kind of the bully kind of thing sometimes, because I think that, you know, it's the right always goes so damn hard, and I think sometimes like the left does have to go hard, you know, and that's one of the things if it comes to it, I'll do it. You know, I don't like to go off on people. I really like to kind of be able to pull them over, you know, soft sell stuff to them, you know, get them to get their buy-in, you know, and take the time if I have to. But when you have the bullies, sometimes you just need to bully back, and I feel like there should be more bullies on the left. So,
all right. No, that's really cool, especially to have like a mod that believes you that much. That is really cool. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you can have a million reasons to talk yourself out of it, but you just gotta jump in for it. I if anything got over prepared. I bought a lot of equipment, a lot of stuff just right off the bat to get going, and I've been streaming now for like consistently, maybe just like a few months or like 2 months, really.
mm-hmm.
And it's been a wonderful experience, honestly. Before I came to Twitch, I was probably just a liberal. I didn't think that like communists and socialists really existed outside of like fringe like political groups on like the like on college campus or something like that.
Right.
I thought they were just like randos, you know, like and but I knew enough about like socialism to understand that that's not what Bernie was doing. And I was like, but I love what Bernie's doing. I love all that shit. And then I was on TYT back in 2014. Like I was just consuming the shit out of that in 2014, 2015.
Right.
And then it really exploded in 2016. And I tell this story all the time. I was sitting at a family like wedding, and my aunt and uncle asked me who I was going to vote for. And you know, I had kept up with like politics, but not like anything like super extreme. So I just said, I don't know. Like, I mean, Bernie's pretty cool. But at this point, you know, Hillary was like edging him out. So I was like, but I guess like I'll vote Hillary, you know?
Right.
And holy shit, that was the wrong thing to say around that group. And I realized that I couldn't really defend myself because I didn't know enough to defend myself. I just thought that everybody knew that Trump was like a fucking racist outside of like maybe like just other racist people. And I thought like, well, I mean, Hillary's status quo, so I guess that's where we're gonna go. But I had no substance. I had no understanding, no greater depth than that, right? Just the surface level. So I said to myself after that happened, I never want to experience that again. So I spent a long time looking into like my own political thought, and that took years. I continued to campaign and support Bernie Sanders. I phone banked for him back in 2020, and then I made it to Twitch. I actually came to Twitch to play games because I thought it'd be pretty fun to play some games, stuff like that. I thought about maybe streaming, and then I found the Twitch politics tab, and I got exposed to actual communists, socialists, and just some of the coolest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
And they have really opened my eyes to broader depth of my own political understanding, something that I don't know where or when I would have been able to get that. So I'm incredibly grateful for that experience. And now I started streaming because I thought that I'm a historian, so I thought, you know, I see a lot of people talking about history all the time on Twitch, including like a lot of like leftists. And while they seem to do a fairly good job, it's not their profession, right?
Right.
It wasn't. So I thought that I could fill a niche in Twitch politics, and I think I have. I do historical streams. I'm able to understand like how to read and write history. I can I can deduce when someone's full of shit, which is
That's
really
always
nice.
a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really nice thing. And I use the tools that I learned in my degree and my studies to help form my political opinion and how I critically like analyze source material. So it's been an enormous help. I think that I have a pretty good spot up there. Quill, get down, get out. Literally standing on my record player.
I want you to bump some tunes, man.
I know. What are you doing? Don't you stand on that? Don't stand on that. Anyway, so yeah, that's I don't know. That's where I'm at right now, though. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting how people end up in in this Twitch sphere, because me, education wise, like I don't like I went to school. I have I'm finishing an AAS in networking networking technology, Cisco specifically, but and I've got course study in political science that I'm in the process of, but most of my experience comes from really just working in a law office most of my life. My dad was an attorney, worked for various people, did a lot of family law, did a lot of like workers' rights stuff, did some civil rights stuff. So I had a lot of exposure to that. And then my grandmother was a lobbyist for the truckers union. So there was a lot of talk about workers' rights around the dinner table, and stuff like that. So for me, it's just like, it's a lot of, kind of the perspective of here's what it is to be a single dad, dealing with the same workers' rights issues that a lot of other people deal with, dealing with the same, issues with economic struggles, issues with our school system, issues like that, and just being able to talk about that and give like kind of a real world in practice experience to people about this is kind of what happens in people's backyards. It's not all just rhetorical. It's not all just theoretical. There's real world consequences, and kind of being able to speak from experience a little bit and then from education a little bit to try to bring it all together and give people something cohesive, and then bringing on people who like Cindy, who's had her experience in varying medical fields, and I've had like I'm trying to get Dan the Step on, who again is a historian who does immigration stuff. I really want to talk to him about how the Monroe Doctrine influenced the patterns of immigration and how our influence in Latin America has caused the immigration influxes that we continue to see and that we've seen for generations because of our issues down there. Anyways, that's another story. But getting into some of the nitty gritty with some of that and bringing people on that can and help to further enlighten the audience too. And hopefully people get some good ideas about that, and then jump in the blood sport a little bit. It's more of a time filler because I really suck at video games, and so when I play at video games, I die. And the last time I did that, my chat had it set up to where I had to take a dab every time I died in a video game, and
Jesus.
Yeah, it was the next day was pretty hard. So, so I'm like, I try to just keep it light, and give people some perspective while also approaching it from like, throwing some comedy out there at it, try to like show people like, yeah, this sucks. But there might be a little bit more of a nuanced way to look at things, or let's find that nugget where we can find some agreement and, bring people into our side, And anytime I can get some more knowledge from other people, like I think that's astounding and awesome because it gives something back to the audience that choose to watch my little stream as well. So,
yeah, I'd like to think that like the goal is to be one, entertaining, and two, provocative enough to bring people over, right?
Yep, exactly.
It's a fine line to walk. I've been dipping my toe into playing some more games and stuff like that. I find that I am definitely able to bounce between like a few here and there, but no, my majority is just talking to people and just relaxing and or getting into stupid arguments with a random chatter, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And that's always good times. I like seeing some of the righties come in. We had a Knott's Bowl that came in earlier. I'm like,
Oh, boy.
wow.
Wasn't Arminius, was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, I'm like, but I don't even understand like how you think that could take root in America, though. Like, like
I hesitate to say if he's completely serious. If I'm being completely honest, but I mean,
I think some of the takes like that though that you get where they're semi trolly. Like, I gotta laugh at it. Like,
yeah,
okay,
it's entertaining, right? It's completely entertaining. I get that. No, it's wild and wacky, and you know, it's good to get exposed to, like, because those people exist, right? Like, I don't know if Arminius is serious or not, but it doesn't really matter because some people are serious,
right. So better
it's
to be
good
able to have that conversation.
yeah, being able to understand like what it is, what it's about, what it's not about, right? There is definitely benefit to that.
There's actually a guy I really like that's very contrarian that's on some of those Prime panels. He goes by Doobie.
Okay.
He always shows up as a frog, a frog with a crown on his head.
Okay.
And he's I don't know if he's joking or not, or if he's just doing it to create like to like build like a contrary argument for the sake of keeping the conversation, you know, going. But he brings in just these off the wall points, and you kind of have to respect his game for it because he's really good at it. And it's like, I never thought about it like that. I mean, you're still wrong, but Jesus, like, how do I approach this now? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he kind of finds a way to, like,
so wacky.
Yeah, put you back against the wall a little bit. It's like, wait, now what would I think about how, what? Like, we were having a conversation before about stealthing. Have you heard about this?
I am aware. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were having that conversation, and it got to the point where he said, "Well, we should just make the pullout game. We should just normalize the pullout game." I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, no, I absolutely will not have sex with a woman with a condom. And I tell her that up front. I tell her, you know, these are the risks, these are the possibilities of having sex with me because I choose not to wear a condom. Yes, you can get an STD
pamphlet in his pocket. Or...
You know, he's like, yes, I have these conversations, and I just tell them I'm not going to wear one. And if they want to have sex with me, I'm not going to wear a condom. And like, this is in the midst of this stealthing conversation, and it's like everybody just was like, wait, what? What the hell? Like, you seriously? Like, and some of the women on there they were losing their shit. They're like, so you're telling me that, one of them was like saying, you're telling me you wouldn't have sex with me unless I said you didn't have to wear a condom? And he's like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Why are you so upset? Why does that bother you so much that I won't have sex with you? And it's like, you walked into this, like, but the way he does it, it's just like, he sounds so matter of fact, and he's so calm about it, and you're just like, how the fuck did he do that? Like, you totally derail the conversation, but it's so worth it because the comedic and the shock factor is just like, wow, how the hell did we end up here, you know?
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, you know, the thing is that like Twitch, I love Twitch, especially Twitch politics, but it is like it's one of the few places that is a completely leftist sphere, right? Like we have like how many right wingers on here, right? Like a handful at most, and they're all like, other than like Rob Noor, I think they're all like coming and going.
oh yeah.
So, I mean, like, make our own fun, right? At the end of the day, I can't fault someone for doing that. Otherwise, you know, it's going to just become just a leftist circle jerk after a while.
Yeah. Then we become our own echo chamber, and then that doesn't, you know, we get our arguments become flaccid too, you know?
Yeah. You know, I'm not really worried about that specifically, just because the left, in the face of either opposition or no opposition, will happily eat itself alive.
Oh yeah, we talked about that before, I think. Yep.
Yeah, the leftist purity testing is probably the most toxic part of the Twitch like sphere in relation to politics.
Unfortunately, I
And
don't think that's just Twitch, though. I think that really is the left politics overall, because you see it. Like, I'll give you the example, and I know it's an easy one, but Cenk Uygur, he started the
Mhm.
Justice Democrats. He made some misogynistic comments 20 freaking years ago that he's apologized for several times over, and that discounts him from being involved in the Justice Democrats. Like,
yeah,
those kinds of things, that's what I'm talking about. Like, okay, now if he had done something, right, like, oh shit, he sexually harassed somebody, some shit like that, that was shit that was coming to light, I'd be like, okay, all right, dude, like, yeah,
yeah,
maybe not a good look, this is, but people say stupid shit all the time, and people evolve on their ideas and their thought processes. If they're not doing something bad and they're not actually encouraging bad behavior, I'm kind of like, why did you do that? Why did you cancel him for that? Or like, Jimmy Dore and those guys canceling Nina Turner for not running on the MPP ticket, even though MPP helped pay for her campaign. I'm like, that makes no sense. Why would you like discourage people voting for her?
yeah. It's I do wonder where that line is specifically, just because you have like for Cenk Uygur, right? Who I think him getting kicked out of like the Justice Democrats, the party that he created, uh, is absurd. Where does the line come in for reform, right? Like healthy reform.
Right.
Are you allowed to evolve in your political opinion? Um, that being said, there is a slightly worrying trend that I am noticing, which is, and I think it'll come down to where we want to draw the line is what is and isn't acceptable reform. And my example or my question brought to this is Lauren Southern, right?
Right.
Is making a comeback on Twitch as a right quote unquote moderate, uh, and I'm not about it, to be completely honest.
In her debate with
So
Lance, I didn't buy it. When I listened to the debate with Lance
yeah,
from the Serfs, I was like, I don't buy it. I don't like everything she's saying. Still sounds very nationalist. She's discounting a native genocide in these native boarding schools in Canada. She's trying to use whether or not there were mass graves to identify whether or not it was a genocide. I'm like, whether or not they were buried in separate graves does not necessarily dictate whether or not it was a genocide. Was it an ethnic cleansing? Yes, it was. Was it always deliberate? No. But what they did is they created the conditions so that it could happen. And she wanted to argue about whether they were buried in mass graves or individual graves. And it's like, but there's a lot more to this conversation than that. And
yeah,
she pigeonholed Lance. They couldn't get, it was Lance and Two Rabbits, who I'm not familiar with Two Rabbits other than that debate. But she got them stuck in the straw man, and they never really got out of it. And it's like, you guys, like, that's why somebody like her is dangerous, because she is a skilled debater. Her takes are still very bad faith. She's still, I think she's just soft pedaling the same ideology. I don't think it's changed. I think she's being more careful with their verbiage. So I
yeah,
absolutely agree. That's somebody that shouldn't be platformed. That's somebody that shouldn't necessarily be welcomed back. I mean, I'm not going to tell her she can't go make a Twitch account, but whether people should allow her on their shows and on their panels and shit like that, absolutely not. I wouldn't.
yeah. I'm of the opinion, yeah, and that's how I've kind of taken it. Like I have plenty of like streamers and like friends who have had her like either on their streams or just watch those kind of content and things like that. My general rule is I'm not here to like police you and like what kind of person you have on your stream, right? I understand like this is number one, a business. A lot of the streamers that have her on, right, they're not platforming her. She's bigger than they are, stuff like that. It's that being said, though, it's just something I'm just not gonna partake in at all.
Yeah.
Not interested in in being a part of that, even like tangentially. So I kind of made it my go-to rule that like I'm just yep, you have her on, that's that's your decision, power to you, I guess, but I'm gonna not be on that stream that day. I just
Same.
I
Healthfully bow out, because and quite honestly, I can't stand listening to her talk because I just feel like it's after the thing in Italy and some of the other shit that
God, yeah.
I'm like no, and that's one of the things that I point out to a lot of people because I've been in debates with people about whether or not she should be like welcome back in. And they're always like, yeah, but then she could end up like Alex Jones and end up with 7 million viewers and blah blah. And I'm like, well, the only reason it looks like Alex Jones has more viewers is because they're now all watching on one platform instead of several. So of course it looks like that. And with her, I don't give a shit. I don't have to give her my time or my attention, and I don't think other people should. Now, I would advocate for that. Choose to do what you will, but like you said, I'm not going to be around for it. Don't expect me to be adding a viewership to your numbers over that. Because it's different when somebody spews a bunch of rhetoric, like white replacement theory is already horrible idealism. But then when you take it the extra mile and you actually start to act on your rhetoric, that's where I'm like, okay, to me, that's the clear line in the sand. Like, all right, you were actually out there actually doing this shit, not just talking about it, And that's where I'm like, all right, dude, and I mean, there's certain extreme ideologies. I don't know, it'd be really hard for me to platform a reform Nazi, but depending on how contrite they are, maybe, what's their contrition, but, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say like that's kind of where my line is as well, is like the call to violence essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that fall in to the kind of person that I would ever even consider interacting with? And like this easy clap, it's not even a question for me. I'm not going to interact with someone who is cited in the Christchurch shooting manifesto. I don't really give a shit,
Yeah.
Yes, and you're absolutely right. The actual call to the actual action, right? Not a call to action, the actual action by going to Italy, right, and trying to disrupt like a rescue operation in the Mediterranean. That's like, what? No, you don't get to be reformed. Well, you do get to be reformed, but you don't get to do it on Twitch. How about that?
Yeah.
Like, you don't need a platform to be reformed. I'm a big believer in that. I don't think that you need to make money off of like spreading your dialogue out to the masses just because that's how you can be reformed. No, you can go away essentially. Like, you've done so much damage. I think you should just do us all a favor and slink back into the shadows and maybe donate to a political campaign you like if they're not like fucking Nazis. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Go poison somebody else as well. Maybe get a desk job somewhere where nobody has to see you or hear what your political opinions are,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And then like it's funny on top of that, all of her like talking points. Like, I remember I watched her debate on the trans women in sports.
Oh, I heard that one was actually pretty. I heard that guy actually schooled her pretty well.
Just like so much. He was amazing. But like all of her arguments, all of her center right talking points were just like they're out of the go-to handbook.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was nothing original. There was nothing unique. There was nothing like, oh, I'm a unique conservative on this particular issue. It was like, no, you're kind of a standard conservative on this issue.
I saw a clip of that, and what I remembered her, and he kind of called her out on it, if I'm remembering correctly. It almost sounded like she was saying, well, basically trans people make me uncomfortable. They create a social upheaval. And so that's why I don't like him. And he's like, that's like the worst argument I've ever heard for that. And I can't necessarily disagree. That's a really bad argument. That's such a Like they make because they make people uncomfortable. They shouldn't be. They shouldn't play
Yeah.
sports. Like
They're icky is essentially the argument there, and it's like I don't know what to say to that. Like, yeah, what am I supposed to do with that, right?
like are we in elementary school? Like I mean, did they have cooties? Like what like seriously, you know, that's where
Yeah.
the line was, and I'm sitting here like I thought she was like supposed to be really good at this, and then he just rocks her with all sorts of scientific facts, and I'm just like, go on with your bad self. I didn't
Yeah,
catch
it
the
was
whole thing. It
amazing.
was just like a little clip that I caught, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I only caught a little bit of it too. I can't say much, but it was really good. I love that experience. Just watching. Listen, anytime I get to see a right winger who has really shitty talking points get just destroyed by a competent, let's say like left leaning person. I don't know his politics necessarily.
Mhm.
I'm here for it. I'm
Yeah.
100% here for it. So.
And that goes back to that like bully thing I was talking about. The right is so big on bullying people. Sometimes they need a little dose of their own medicine, you know?
Yeah, they really do. Like this, but one of the things that I just dismiss out of hand these days is the call for like civility politics, right? Like no. Civility politics is how we ended up here, right? It is listening. Like okay, so the go to example I always go to is imagine you're having a conversation with a Nazi, right? But he's being very, very nice and
Mhm.
very respectful. Does that somehow change the words that he is saying to not like the most gross examples of racism and bigotry? Just because he's not saying them with like fuck n word or something like that,
Right.
you know, is that somehow better? No, in fact, I would actually argue it's worse.
Yeah. Same.
Because yeah, the guy who says the former is really easy to spot for like a normie, a non-political person. But the latter can bathe themselves in the blanket of civility, right? Like we saw Richard Spencer do that
Oh yeah.
in public, right? And he was on like fucking CNN.
He was all over the place. Yeah, he was
yeah,
everywhere.
the new face of white nationalism. It's like, excuse me. So yeah, I just I remember I saw that and I thought to myself, like, that's not really an argument. This idea that I have to somehow placate and hold the hands of Nazis because they're being nice. I'm going to call people out for shitty ideas and opinions. Doesn't really matter to me how nice they're being, you know?
Same, exactly. You know, and you see that we were doing that with Trump. You know, like the Democrats were doing that with Trump, right? I mean, there were several instances where they were playing civility politics where they could have nailed him to the wall on some shit, and they're just like, "But we have to rise above. We have to act better." No,
oh god,
no, you don't. He's in the gutter with shit. Like he's throwing the kitchen sink at you. No, you guys need to get a little muddy. And the thing is Nancy Pelosi was so freaking toothless at it. Like, I don't think ripping up that paper did anything. What they should have done, some of that shit, and I'm a firm believer in using the full power of the Congress, right? We have Capitol Police. When we subpoenaed people and they didn't show up, they should have been arrested. They should have gone to their house and arrested them and put them in the jail under the Capitol like they're supposed to do. You know, and we didn't because civility politics. We need to be nice. No, we don't need to be nice to these people. Like, some of these people are instrumental in trying to overthrow our freaking government. You know, like now, you know, we're seeing that. So no, I don't think we should play nice with them. Yes, I think we should use a full power of, you know, what Congress has available. And I think they did slow step it because they still see them as colleagues, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely, right? Like I don't remember. There was some politicians saying about, they were talking about Ted Cruz, everybody's favorite, and they said something to the effect of like he was arguing against me in court or in the halls of Congress over and over and over again, just making the most ridiculous claims possible, right? And then the next day, he runs into him in the bathroom, and he just like pats him on the back and is like, "Hey, how's it going? How's it going, man?" You know, it's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Like, no, you're
What do you
not
mean?
my friend, bruh.
Yeah, but like a lot of them do consider it like that. You know, it's very much like just this. It's just a job kind of mentality, right?
Mhm.
As if it doesn't affect the lives of millions of people across this country. I just.
That's the part that sickens me. That's that Machiavellian like point that they fall into. And it's on both sides of the aisle, unfortunately, really thick. But they get to that place where this is where you see where the people with who are heavily influenced by money, lie, because I think they're the ones that are more inclined to be like, yeah, sure, buddy, I'm gonna pat you on the back because I don't give a shit, like. Whereas somebody like maybe an AOC or Bernie Sanders or an Ilhan Omar, one of those cats, they're gonna be like, hey, no, screw you, get the hell away from me, I can't stand you. Go fuck yourself, like they're there for that shit. Like, I'm fairly certain Bernie Sanders and Joe Manchin aren't friends right now,
Yeah, something tells me, right? Yeah, it's yeah, I don't get God, Joe Manchin. Oh my God, I can't tell you. Every time I see that guy, makes my blood boil a little bit. I don't know if you saw his interview on CNN the other day.
Yeah, we streamed it. I did a commentary on it.
Okay. Where he basically said, like, I don't like this infrastructure bill, but I can't say why I don't like this infrastructure bill.
Yeah, and then she called him out, and I was really surprised. Dana Bash called him out on the Exxon Mobil money thing, and he's like, people are entitled to their own facts, but people are entitled to their own opinions, but they can't make up their own facts. I was like, no, the Freudian slip said it all, buddy. The Freudian slip said it all. It said it all.
I mean, I don't like. Okay, you put me like anywhere near a position of power, I am like threatening Joe Manchin the next day. I'm telling him like I will primary you so hard. He's literally a dino.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like I know like that's like a joke nowadays, right?
Mhm.
Like who is like a rhino and a dino, but dude is literally a dino.
Well, he used to be a Republican.
Yeah. What brought him over? What was the reason? I don't even remember.
I don't either. I don't think it. I think he came over quite a while back.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm actually interested. What did bring him over?
Yeah, I have no idea. No idea off the top of my head.
Huh. Let's find out. I like doing a little bit of this research shit.
Learn something on stream, right?
Oh yeah, I can share it with everybody. I'm gonna guess he probably lost a primary at some point.
Oh, that he lost a primary?
I'm guessing, yeah. I bet he lost a primary as a Republican, so he ran on the Democratic ticket.
Maybe. It'd be surprising though. Like normally lose a primary, you're kind of done.
Depends on how much the state is upset with their current choices.
Yeah.
Let's see. He was a governor of West Virginia. Wow, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that either. Go figure.
Yeah, he's been a Democrat for a while, like quite a while. So, I mean, it's got to go back several years. Because even when he ran for governor, it looks like he ran as a Democrat. Huh. Yeah, I don't know where it is. Like, I'm just looking through Wikipedia because trying to go through his site or some shit like that would take me all day. But even here, it doesn't really lay it out. I'm curious as to what his evolution was.
Do an investigation stream one day.
Yeah, definitely. That could go deep. That could go deep. But yeah, I guess he now considers himself a moderate conservative Democrat, which who the hell knows what that is?
A Republican.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a Republican. Like you ask him, listen, you ask him one social policy, right, that he still holds out the Republican thing for, and the whole charade will fall apart, right? His most of his stuff that we get pissed at him about is essentially when he is just obfuscating like some kind of payment, right? Some trying to hold up some bill based on like the Ron Paul libertarian fiscal responsibility kind of argument, just so he can appease his donors.
Well, yeah, it's sadder if they're doing anything related to green energy. Screw it, we're done. Like, you know, that shit's not getting through with him.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I'm curious about his social policy stuff. Like, I'd be curious if took a look at that. I don't know that off the top of my head.
Let's see. This does have a little bit about that. Let's see. What does he think about like drugs? So let's see. He's been all over prescription drug abuse type shit. So he does a lot for like substance abuse treatment. Doesn't necessarily say much about criminalization.
Okay.
So all right, I'm not mad at that. It doesn't say anything about marijuana legalization, which I'd like to see that. But okay, I'll take that. I know he's dog shit on energy and environment, so we'll just gloss over that. I know he's pro-gun. He's had an A rating for quite a while, so I know that that's
NRA.
Yeah. He's done some homelessness bills, so he cares a little bit about housing. I just don't know to what extent. Looks like they put $3.3 million to combat child homelessness in West Virginia back in October of 2019. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to look more into him.
He's done some things praising like HUD for capacity building programs, which okay. Section 4 capacity building program for authorizing HUD to partner with national nonprofit community development organizations to provide education, training, and financial support to local community development corporations. Huh. So he's got some good takes. He's got, he's a mixed bag. But overall, I'd say I wouldn't trust him with much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, okay, so who are the lefties, right, in Congress? We get the names thrown around all the time, right? But there's no leftists or anything. They're all like at the best like liberals, and at the worst they're him.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's what
you get. Like, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say that's what we get right now. That's you nailed it.
Yeah. And then oh my God, Kristen Sinema.
Tell me about it. She's in my state.
Oh no.
Yep.
Literal girl boss.
And you know what the thing is that she actually ran on a lot of things that she shot down. So she's like not doing herself any favors for re-election. So we'll see. But yeah, actually it's interesting. The working people, both the independents and the Democrats here, are really pissed at her. Because they didn't like McSally. McSally was that would have been horrible. She was a total Trumpist and QAnon person. Like, she was crazy.
Mhm.
I mean, it was like putting Larry Elder against Gavin Newsom, pretty much. That's
Okay.
that's the degree it was. It's like when you have that kind of lightning rod, voting for Kirsten Sinema becomes real easy. And then when she's telling you, yeah, you know, I'm for green energy, I'm for $15 minimum wage, and our state's one of the lowest paid states in the country, you know, and we have one of the highest basic disparities between the income rate and the cost of housing, you know. It's like she pissed off more than just the crazy liberal Democrats, or, you know, how that she likes to call them, you know, or lefties. She pissed off working people, you know, and it's working people that are mad at her. So her day's coming. You know, there's a lot of people that are upset with her here, and you hear it from both sides of the aisle, which I think is great, because you don't get that very often, you know.
No, she's a literal definition girl boss.
Yeah.
Kind of mentality. So I'll be happy to see her lose an election, or probably lose her, or if she decides to run. I guess if the numbers don't look good enough, maybe she'll just go away.
She'll go get a job with ExxonMobil, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Jesus Christ.
She's already collecting a paycheck. She might as well do the work now, you know.
Damn. All right. I mean, yeah, that's not inaccurate. It's not inaccurate. All right. Anyway, man, I think I'm gonna go ahead and bounce. I'm pretty tired, and I gotta be up kind of early. So,
Well, rock and roll, man. I appreciate you stopping in. It was really great to have you. Your insight's great, and good to commiserate with you a little bit too.
Yeah. Don't doom or pill too much. All right. There's positives. You just gotta look out. All right. Like I think the country is much further left than like even you and I like necessarily give it credit for. The example I always go to is Florida going to Trump, but getting the $15 minimum wage by 65%.
Based.
I think that like pushing the country, if not towards like completely, you know, obviously towards where we would like it, towards more like SOCDEM directions, is possible with the right language and the right messaging. So, you know, like I said, don't get completely doomer pilled, and it won't. It's not all bad.
For sure. Agreed. Agreed. Well, you take care, my friend. Get some rest. Have a great night, and thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man. All right, I'll see you later. Okay.
All right.